Happy Wednesday, everybody, and it's hump day. I thought I'd just do a quick midweek supplemental, very similar to the one I did last week, bit of a cautionary tale. This week's topic has been inspired by a conversation we've been having internally between myself and our CEO, Mr. Steve Spence. And it's a cautionary tale basically about expenditure in our industry. We've had a lot of customers over the years who have worried about pricing. Now, I understand that every organization needs to be aware of pricing and that IT is always a black hole. It's not exactly the point of the business that's generating revenue. However, without the IT, the revenue won't generate because the business isn't going to run anymore. It's a chicken and egg situation. But I wanted to have a quick chat around the topic of costings for pen testing. Steve wrote an article last year for our blog, which was a cautionary tale about an organization not undertaking pen testing in an adequate time frame, and they got breached, which ultimately cost them an absolute fortune. And this is a similar sort of scenario that we are seeing with clients day in, day out, whereby an organization will never have had any pen testing in the past, but needs to undertake something. We go in there and have a discussion with the client with regards to what the scope should look like, what they should include in the assessment, the infrastructure, the applications, phishing, red teaming, social engineering, open source intelligence gathering, based upon the red teaming videos that I've been releasing recently. All of this needs to be taken into consideration. And unfortunately, that does come, if you take that whole shopping list, it does come at quite a high price. However, organizations such as ours are looking to increase organizations' security maturity. And it's not all about taking it all at once. That's an elephant that you need to eat in small chunks. And you should use it as a strategic plan for what you're going to do over the next 12, 18, 24 months in small bite-sized chunks that you can go away and remediate upon in an adequate fashion. The problem that we find is that an organization comes, speaks to us, scopes out these engagements, gets the shopping list, and then falls off their chair because the price is so high. What they decide to do at that point is, instead of engaging with us to discuss what it is that we can offer them and how we can basically manipulate this in a way that works with their budgets, they decide that they're actually just going to shrink the scope. So you go from what is a rather large engagement with an organization with no conversations, for it being a simple segment of that entire shopping list. And this could be, for argument's sake, skinnying it down to just doing the application testing, which again is a good starting point. Don't get me wrong. The conversations at the client side might have been that they are going to do it in small sections, but they've not engaged with us at this point. All they're doing is going, I'm going to skinny the scope, which is a little bit frustrating because we don't understand the backstory as to why. However, what's even more frustrating is when they say that they're going to skinny that scope, but then also only going to do a subsection of that application itself, which is all fair, well and good if we're going to use it as a proof of concept for the larger engagement. But the conversation is still not being had with us at this stage as to why the shrinkage is happening. And it's all strictly based down to cost. In several instances where this has happened, at that skinny end, the client has still gone out to tender. At that point, what you're doing is wasting our time in scoping it and going through all of that procedure. You're wasting everybody else's time in trying to vie for that single piece of business at the lowest possible cost going. And you're wasting your time in going through this whole entire process. And with a number of the clients that we have had that have engaged in this way, 9 out of 10 times, as we're going through these discussions, because they are protracted and prolonged engagements, the client unfortunately suffers a breach. At this point, there's almost, and I hate to say it, but there's almost an I told you so moment. The client then has to go away, conduct a multitude of forensic engagements to find out how the intrusion happened, whether the intruder is still there, what data was exfiltrated, and go through that whole breach process before they've even started then engaging with us again to undertake testing. The forensic costs in going and investigating what the breach, how the breach occurred and what it entailed can be just as much as that entire shopping list engagement that we originally quoted for. Again, this is just a cautionary tale. If you've experienced this yourself, as a client and had a breach as a result of the protracted process for procurement, I can sympathise. It's not great. For anybody who is going through a procurement process at the moment and would like a scoping exercise to find out what the best approach is for testing, please come and have a chat to me. More than happy. Private message me if you'd like to open a discussion. And just be aware that the costings out there are pretty average in the industry. You know, there's no one person that I've seen so far in the industry that is hugely more expensive than another. But do your due diligence to make sure that you're getting the right company with the right credentials and the right backing, and engage with somebody who knows what they're talking about from the front end as well. I hope to speak to you again soon. Many thanks.